Hello. So we're at that stage now where we need to survey or measure your garden. You're going to need a few pieces of equipment to help you do this. So firstly, I'm going to drop them all down. You'll need a tape measure, at least one which has got at least probably 5 to 10 meters depending on your garden size. This is 30 meters. But often if it is a little bit longer, it makes it easier so you don't have to bunny hop. So you need a tape measure, pencil and a rubber. You'll need that. You will also need a ruler with centimeters, just clarifying that. You will need a clipboard, and then also you will need one piece of the graph checked paper that I sent you in your kit. So yeah, and then while I'm here, just be aware, because this will be really important when you start to measure, that each of those little squares is 1/2 centimetre. Okay, so 2 of the squares is 1 centimetre. And for the plan that we're going to do to try and keep it really, really easy, I would like it if you use the scale 1 to 100. Now what that means is that 1 metre out in your garden is going to be 1 centimetre on your gridded paper. Okay, so get together all of those bits and pieces, and it's also really helpful if you can have one or 2 people helping you. 2 is dream, but if you can have a person help you to hold ends of tape measures and read out measurements, that will be helpful too. So gather all of those things together, and then you can carry on to the next stage. So here we are outside, starting to measure, and I always start to measure at the corner of a building. So I've got the corner of my house here. I've brought the ruler across. Just noticed here, apologies for the rusty tape measure, you'll see that that's 83 centimetres. Now for the purpose of a garden measure up, I would be rounding to the nearest 10. So I would record that as 80 centimetres on my piece of gridded paper, and then I would carry on and measure the rest of the window, take a note of where the window finishes, and then carry on to the end of that wall, and off you go. So I carried on making more measurements. I've just popped back inside to just show you how it's looking so far. So as you saw, when we were outside, I measured 80 centimetres, the distance between the corner of my house here and the start of the window. So 80 centimetres out there is the equivalent of 8 millimetres on our piece of paper. So just to remind you, 1 metre out in your garden is 1 centimetre, or 2 of these squares here on your piece of paper. So you can see that that's pretty much 8 millimetres there. And then I carried on to the other side, moving down. That's our French windows down there. We have a path running across. Here is the spa, which is 2 metres by 2 metres. And I've also put in here this dragon tree, which is not going to be moving anywhere. I just measured the distance off the corner of the spa from the pathway and put that in. So I'm starting well on my way to surveying all of my garden. Depending on the layout of your garden, you might, rather than do everything all on one piece of paper, you might have distinct areas, and you may like just to do use a couple of pieces of paper and do your garden beds areas sort of separately. So you might have the front garden on one piece of paper, the back garden on the other, whichever's going to work most sensibly for you. So when you've finished, you should have something that looks a little bit like this. At this point, you need to make the decision whether with the changes that you're planning to your garden, are you going to be making any structural changes? So what I mean by this is that, do you want to change the shape and size of the lawn? Do you want to add in pathways? Do you need to create larger deck spaces or concrete spaces? Or is everything going to stay the same structurally? So you're not going to change garden beds, edgings, any of the structural stuff that you may or may not have thought about and put on your wish list. So if you're making no structural changes to your garden, then your work here for the week is done. However, if you know that you've got some changes to make with your current layout in your garden, there's some further information below that will help you with that process.